Hotep, I am the Amen Osiris, the one and only undisputed God of law. We are Deception Stoppers, America's only 4D education service. I am not a lawyer. This is not a law firm. We do not advocate that you don't support your human offspring. We simply advocate that you made them in private, take care of them in private. Okay. Shout out to people in Pennsylvania. All right. I'm going to drop a little knowledge for y'all out here. And today I'm going to show you how to use a bank levy statement from the domestic relations section, all right, to get the bank levy terminated. All right, very simple. All right, your remedies are right here on the document. Okay, and I've got some inserts for you that we're going to read, and you can use that to your pleasure. All right, and we're going to jump in now. Before I read this, we got this document. And the first thing that I did was, of course, like I said, it's in Pennsylvania. Gentlemen in Pennsylvania, if you have not read that Constitution, I strongly suggest you do, because it can keep you out of a lot of mess. So what we did was I took this document, we took it, and we monitored the foundation of it, which you see here. And then we took the words off the foundation, okay, the expressions off of these, and then we turned it around and we used it against them and showed that you can't levy this account in accordance with the law. All right, and we're going to dive into that as well. All right, so we're going to show you some words and definitions, all right, and everything that you need to know to get this done. All right, but the first thing that we did was we separated him from this document. And how we did that was under Article 1 of the Pennsylvania Constitution, it clearly states that Article 1 was the inherent rights of mankind, a Bill of Rights. All right, it says that all men are by nature equal, free, and independent. Okay, that is man's nature. All right, and of course, nature pertains to God according to that biblical ecclesiastic claims, which is fine. Okay, so what we did was we invoked him as first thing before we even responded. Before the response, over top of the response was his Declaration of Rights. All right, that he is a man according to Article 1, Section 1 of the Constitution. All right, he is by nature equal, free, and independent. Equal meaning being the same as everybody else. All right, free, not subject to the legal constraint of another, having the power to follow the dictates of your own free will. Independent, not dependent, not subject to control, restriction, or modification or limitation from any given outside source, which would be the domestic relations section. All right, so we got that up front and foremost. So once that was done, we separated him, okay, from what they're stating on this document. Now let's dive into it. It says, as required by federal law. Ooh, red light right there. Okay. Federal law only applies on federal territory. Federal territory is what? The District of Columbia. That's where federal law applies. However, when you accept their mail with a zip code on it, all right, zip code addresses are what? They are for the United States, the corporate United States and its agents. When you accept that mail, you automatically submit to their jurisdiction. Mail is the first form of jurisdiction, folks. Remember that. All right. So under it says required by federal law. Okay, and before I go into that, I love this. How can federal law require a sovereign country? All right, because Pennsylvania is a country. All right, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, that's in Harrisburg. All right, but the landmass of Pennsylvania itself is in fact a country. Okay, and it is sovereign. So a sovereign doesn't answer to anybody. Okay, so right here, Pennsylvania loses its sovereignty. Okay, no sovereign immunity right there. All right, and so for federal law, you ask 666 and state law. All right, computer data matches are conducted between obligors who owe overdue child support and financial institutions. This match has identified you as owing an overdue support arrears and owning an asset or assets held by the financial institution. As a result of the overdue support that you owe, all right, in accordance with their law, an order freezing your asset has been entered by the court and served upon the financial institution holding your money. All right, so this is called liens by operation of law. All right, and you notice they did this. I mean, they just went and took the money. They liened it. All right, he didn't get no notice. The only notice he got was that they did it. This was after the fact. There's no due process on this at all. All right, so look up the word operation of law. You'll find that basically it means that there's nothing you can do about it. All right, whether you participate or not, it's done. All right, so herein lies the problem, okay? The mention of one thing is the exclusion of another, all right? Now, remember I said earlier that we separated him from this. We excluded him as a man from this riffraff right here. Easy, it was easy peasy, okay? Now, look at the words. It says obligor, all right? And it says you, the match has identified you. Who's you? All right. Obviously, the word you is their intended person who's reading this document. Okay. Not a big deal. All right. So somebody is alleging that the person who's reading this document, who opened it voluntarily, is an obligor, owing overdue support, and asserting authority to take his money, to lien his property, all right, without his say so at all, no due process. All right. And here's where the rubber meets the road. Now down here, all right, it says you have a right. All right, it doesn't say you have the right, it says you have a right. All right, difference in word, and I'm going to show you why. To contest this notice within 30 days of the date appearing on this notice. That's 30 business days, gentlemen. That's Monday through Friday. All right, no weekends, no holidays. So 30 business days is practically 2 months. So, all right, where'd I go? All right, so number one, your contest is limited to the following. All right, now here is your remedy. Number one, no overdue support exists. Number two, there is the mistake in the amount of overdue support. Number three, there is a mistake in the identity of the obligor. Or four, the account is not subject to attachment as a matter of law. All right, so your remedy is right here. They're telling you what your remedy is. All you have to do is prove it. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at some words, and my face is going to be covered up here for like a hot second, but all good. Let me see here. All right, so we're going to use the mistake of material fact. Okay, and the reason we're going to do that is it's because it's right there for us on the document. So it says that you have been identified. Remember that, okay? Words are very important. Gentlemen, all right, take away the words, you got nothing. All right, take away the words, you got nothing. So let's go to the word identity. The same as in law of evidence. The fact that a subject, person, or thing before the court is the same as it is represented, claimed, or charged to be. So this also applies when you decide that you want to accept an invitation and go to a 4D hearing. All right, you are identified as an obligor. All right, which is subject, person, or thing before the court. They don't see you as a man. That's why they'll tell you when you try to assert your rights, oh, we ain't here for that. All right, remember that. Remember that always. Let's look at these words, subject, person, or thing. A person is not such because he is human. Wow, okay? But because rights and duties are ascribed to it. The person is the legal subject or substance of which the rights and duties are attributes. All right, go back to the Constitution. Man rights are inherent. All right, it says inherent rights of mankind. So that separates you from that person. All right, thus the claim of your status of who you are is very, very important. Okay, but let's go. Let's look at the word subject. A subject is one who owes allegiance to a sovereign and is governed by his laws. Wait a minute. Sovereign. You notice the word his and is governed by his law. All right, a sovereign is a king, gentlemen. Okay, any state who has contracted who voluntarily participates in the 4D program, all right, waived it, it lost its sovereignty. A sovereign doesn't answer to anybody. Remember, the 4D program is ran by the Fed, not the state. The 4D program that operates in that state, the state has no jurisdiction over. It answers strictly to the Fed. Okay, so it is not a sovereign. All right. So once it goes into that contract, the federal government the federal OCSC is its boss. It answers to them. You can't be a sovereign answering to somebody. All right. Thing. All right. Is the object of a right, whatever is treated by the law as as the object over which one person and or persons lies a duty. All right, there is a duty of support. All right, where does that duty lie on? The obligor. All right, so basically now what you have here is the EN 502 document, which is the document I just showed you. All right, is now subject to expressio unius ex exclusio alterius, the maxim of statutory interpretation, meaning the expression of one thing is the exclusion of another. This document clearly states, all right, that an obligor has been identified as owing past due child support. All right, so let's look at these words: obligor, obligee, and obligor. These are words of art, the vocabulary and terminology of the 4D art and science, and especially those expressions that are idiomatic or particular to it. All right, so idiomatic just means distinct. It's particular. It's the same word. Okay, so this is the 4D language. These are the words of art. These words of art are all over the document. Now, all right, let me close this one out. Move it down. Let's look at the second part of this. All right, let me give you some juice here. This is Black's Law's Dictionary, of course. And okay, so an obligor is the person who has engaged to perform an obligation. The obligee is the person in favor of whom an obligation is what? Contracted. Okay? Obligation is a law or duty, there's that word again, duty, binding a party to perform their agreement and undertaking to perform. All right? So, number one, binding means contractual. A man is bound to his contract. All right? Perform. To perform an obligation or contract is to execute, fulfill, or accomplish it according to its terms. Undertaking, an engagement by one of the parties to a contract to the other as distinguished from a mutual agreement of the parties to each other. Okay, so an obligee, an obligor, in order for someone to be an obligor, you have to be under a contractual obligation. Okay, I just want to make that very clear. So this document is also stating that, okay, someone is under a contractual obligation. This person is under a contractual obligation. Well, hold on. Where's the contract? Always look at that. Okay. Now, let's look at another insert. And let's see if this is the right one. I think it is. Nope, that's the wrong one. Get it over here. And it's this one. Getting old. And I'm just now learning how to use this new software here, man. This is fire. I love it. I'm doing these practice runs. All right, so now let's look at some more issues here. All right, some more fundamental information that you really need. Okay, so oops, let's shrink that down a little bit. There we go. Okay, now funny thing. All right, on the front of this letter, if you look down here on the bottom of this screen, oops, I'll get it eventually. Sorry, fellas. All right, this was on the top of the document, okay? So what this means, all right, so you got the plaintiff's name, defendant's name, all right, here it is right here, defendant's social security number, docket number, cases number, member ID number. If you don't like your membership to SAMS, you can always cancel it, right? All right, account, the financial institution, and the account number. All right, but what you're focusing on is now we know that the defendant who is an obligor is positively identified by a social security number. That changes the playing field because the social security number is a property of the Social Security Administration. Right? You can't be property. That is impossible. Okay, so what you have is, let's go up here. Bam. All right. Now let's look at a couple of things. All right. Double checking that this is the mistake of the identity right here that we're going to use. Okay. And as a matter of law. All right, 42 U.S.C. 666 AC3. All right, gives notice of a non-custodial pay rent social security number. All right, so non-custodial pay rent is the obligor. Okay, it is the defendant. All right. 4D of the Act requires litigants must be properly named and properly identified as either obligor or obligee. All right. So the face of the notice is unambiguous in that said obligor, and we're going to just say Joe Blowpop. You notice it's an all caps letter. All right. Obligor is Joe Blowpop, and it is positively identified by social security number, yada, yada, yada. And it is the 20 C.F.R. 422-103D registered property of the Social Security Administration. Bam. That hurts. That stings. Okay. This is so in other words, you're trying to get me to be the property of the Social Security Administration? I don't think so. So I'm separate now because I've already proven that he's what? He's a man. He's not an obligor. Okay. Expressio exclusius est alterius. The mention of one thing is the exclusion of another. All right. So we're going to continue. All right. Now, this person they're claiming is positively identified by a social security number. All right. Look over to the left under Spider and the Fly. All right. Underneath there, this was the information that was on the document. Like I said, all right. Social security number. It's right there, black and white. Okay. Social Security Administration publications. October 1996 provide that Social Security cards, names, and numbers are not an identification. They are not identifiers. By itself, it is not a personal identifier because it lacks systematic assignment to every person and the means to authenticate a person's identity. This supports your claim under the document that the fact that Joe Blowpop is not your name and you can't be identified by that social security number. Okay? Bam. That's the Social Security Administration helping you out. Okay, so basically what you have here, now you're separate. Okay? Because you are a man. A man is the adult male of the human species. Now remember, it says the litigants must be properly named and properly identified. A name is the designation of a firm or corporation. A human being's name consists of one or more given Christian names and a family name, your first name and your family name. Amen of the family Osiris, Joe of the family Blowpop. All right, human beings do not have last names. So under the definition of the name, the Joe Blowpop in all caps, that is the designation of a corporation. It's also a citizen, all right, because if you look on who can have a social security card, you have to be a citizen, all right. Corpus Juris Secundum, I believe it is section 886, all right, clearly states that a citizen is a corporation. A corporation is an artificial person, all right. All right, artificial persons can only deal with artificial persons. So therefore, once you've separated yourself by identifying yourself as a man, very simple, all right, it's not complicated, all right, the expression of the 42 U.S.C. 666A3C, obligor, Joe Blowpop, ID at Social Security number, which is in fact the property of the Social Security Administration, subject to liens by operation of law, excludes Joe of the family Blowpop, who pursuant to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Article 1, subsection 1, is a man by nature, equal, free, and independent. All right, so that's it. And the reason you can get away with this is because it is expressing statutes. And one last little note here, okay? Joe of the family Blowpop's objection for the lien, all right, for number one, the account is not, these are the numbers that they give you. The account is not subject to attachment as a matter of law. Why? Because mistaken identity of the obligor, all right, so this objection is sustained for that reason. And now, under one, no overdue support exists because I just proved to you that I'm not this obligor by your words, by your document. Now, under Pennsylvania law, in order to have standing in court, all right, it falls under Article 1, subsection 11, all right, which is the court shall be open. Every court shall be open to a man for injury done him in his lands, good, person, and reputation, and he shall have remedy by due course of law without sale, denial, or delay. That's Article 1, subsection 11. So guess what? In other words, so without no injury, all right, and because you have separated yourself from this obligor, which is the property of the Social Security Administration, all right, your bank account is, they can't levy it. All right, they can't take it. It's just that simple. And if they continue to take it, then what you'll do is you would file an action in court, all you have to do is you'll take your objection in court and you'll file an action. They'll charge you for it, of course. All right, and you bring them to court. I want my money back. All right, they said I have the right to object to it. I objected to it, which the evidence that they provided sustains. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It clearly states obligor. An obligor is a person, a thing, and a subject. I'm not. I'm a man. Remember, free and independent. Both of them clearly state not subject to. All right. How could, if you're not subject to the legal constraint of another, how could I possibly be an obligor? So, which means you have to what? You would have to succeed to the status of obligor, which is de-evolution of title of man to property, which would be the obligor because it's the property of Social Security Administration under the law of distribution. All right, fellas? All right, so that's today's lesson. All right, you have your assignment, and you can use this information. I mean, it's basic child support information. All right, you can use this pretty much on anything dealing with child support. All right, the main stain here, fellas, is you have to separate yourself. All right, when they're mailing that mail, they're not mailing that mail to you as a man. They're mailing it to you as an obligor. By you accepting it and opening it, you're openly stating that I'm an obligor. You just put your foot in your mouth. Okay? So, in essence, number one, again, this is done, and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to keep saying it in every video. This is 42 U.S.C. 666. Number one, that's a violation of your religious belief. Under the Bible, isn't that the mark of the beast? Okay. Number two, child support law, what you think is child support law, it is modeled from the Hague Convention. The Hague Convention is private international law. All right, if it's private, that means it requires an invitation. Okay, stop accepting their invitation. You get it? It's just that simple. I get so many emails where people say, "Oh, I got this in the mail." It's like, dude, why are you even accepting it? All right, and most of these are directories, all right, which basically are mere direction and have no obligatory force for their disregard. Look it up in Black's Law Dictionary. They're directories. All right, you're the one who's following a directory. All right, come into my spider web, set the spider to the fly. Okay, stop voluntarily participating in the 4D program. If they're stealing from you, then fight them. Okay, be a man. Okay, take your money out of the bank if you got a 4D issue. Figure out another way to funnel your money. Okay, stop accepting their mail. Okay, if they send you mail, that mail is going to an obligor, and if you're not an obligor and an agent of the United States, then you accepting that mail is actually a crime. That's obstruction of mail carrier service. You can get up to 5 years in jail for that. All right, they're even getting you to break the law. Okay, but in a case like this was a lien by operation of law. Okay, by you taking the information that is on here. All right, you're going to flip that information and use it against them. All right, and the biggest word right here is identify an obligor. By proof, you got it all day. And if you notice on the green section there, all right, let me bring that back up. All right, you'll notice here, all right, down it goes to red. All right, the letters are in red. Then on the bottom, it starts to turn to green. This is where it starts to benefit you. Remember, red means stop, green means go. All right, I meant to tell you that earlier. Sorry about that, but I always do that in all my classes. All right, it's very important. All right, but this right here, gentlemen, is basically, this is fresh. This is fresh, so we haven't heard anything back yet. But the fact of the matter is, it's a nice technique. Okay, it does work. And the beauty of it is it also gives you standing. Once you separate yourself, all right, from that obligor. Well, sir, and I'm going to do another video on the use of that word obligor. You'll notice if you go on these court hearings online, and you'll see a lot of them that I'm going to post, all right, they'll say the obligor and the obligee. Okay, and the reason being is because that's the identity. That's the sameness in law before the court, a person, thing, or subject before the court as what? Charged or represented to be. When you walk in these hearings, that's what you're representing. That's why you keep getting your ass handed out. and hand it to you. Stop walking in these hearings. Okay, stop going. Stop opening their mail. Stop accepting their mail. All right, stop dealing with them. Period. If they have your email, block them. If they get it again, terminate the email and get another one. If they have your phone number, turn that number off and get a new number. Okay, it's just that simple. If they know where you live, all right, then you need to learn how to properly send documents back to them using the proper address, which is zip code exempt, real land North America, non-domestic. Okay, the more you push their garbage back to them, the less they can do to you. Because here's the thing: if you're not informed of a hearing, right, and that mail comes back, then they have the hearing, they can't proceed. Well, the mail came back. Oh, well, we can't proceed. You got to try to get this guy. Worst case, they'll try a process server. The cool thing about a process server, especially in Pennsylvania, is because was it 231? Article 231 is the process server has to physically hand you that paper. All right, you are not legally obligated to accept that document from that process server. Okay, it is that simple. Okay, so the mention of one thing is the exclusion of another. Okay, it's set in stone. All right, as long as you basically are not succeeding to the status of the obligor or the non-custodial pay rent. All right, well, you're an obligor. No, I'm not. I haven't engaged to perform an obligation. Well, the obligee, is that the obligee? Okay, an obligee is the person in favor of whom an obligation is contracted. Can she produce a copy of that contract that I've engaged to perform? All right. If you don't have any of that, why are you even attending? Because somebody said so? This is a business for profit, gentlemen. Like I said, Walmart can't haul you into its store and hold you in contempt for not spending $500 a month with it because it's not profiting off of you. All right? Neither can the 4D crime family. I'm Yamin Osiris, gentlemen. If you need help, bang my email, 4D_destroyer@yahoo.com. We'll get you a consultation and we'll drop you some knowledge. Okay, and be prepared for some serious monstrosities of content coming to you real soon. This next one I got, fellas, is a doozy. You're going to love this. All right, Hotep.